Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for my Once Upon a Time recap. So, to recap on tonight's episode, I missed the first 2-3 minutes, so I don't know exactly what went on there. But Victoria wants to dig up the garden, like we saw in the previous show for this week's show last week, that Victoria wants to dig up this garden. It showed similarities back to season 1 when Henry wanted to go into the mines. And Jacinda doesn't want it to be dug up because Lucy doesn't want it to be dug up and she wants what Lucy wants. Um, Weaver, who's Gold, wants Rogers to run evidence, but Rogers claims that he has a court case to handle, which is probably a lie. But it looks like Rogers is trying to get dirt on Victoria and this guy. I think his name was Griffith or something. I'm not sure. He's trying to get background information on him. We find out that Victoria wants to turn the garden into one of her condos, and Jacinda doesn't want that. And she goes to Ronnie's, and Ronnie decides to start a petition to get enough signatures to hopefully keep the garden. And I gotta say, Ronnie definitely has best the best lines this season. She said, "Yes, I'm a regular queen." And you could definitely see that Ronnie's a leader, and after 7 seasons, Regina's finally earned that hero title. We see in the Enchanted Forest, again, we don't know what world this is, but I'm just saying the Enchanted Forest. Jacinda's building an army to fight Tremaine, and Tiana is fighting by her side. And apparently they're calling themselves as Resistance, and I think that's very cool and very telling because, there's a resistance movement going on in our world now. Henry, actually, a cute moment. Henry introduces Regina and Jacinda together, and it's also kind of awkward at the same time because Regina's basically meeting Henry's girlfriend for the first time and introduces Hook to everyone, and you can see Hook and Tiana already have some chemistry, so I'm like, is this Dream World Hook gonna be hooking up with Tiana? I mean, that seems a bit quick in a way. I mean, we just saw last week he said goodbye to Emma. Now he's with Tiana now, maybe? I thought maybe Regina and him would get together. Lucy shows Henry the petition, and Lucy thinks that there's something buried down there, and Lucy is actually the one who brought up when Archie saved Henry back in season 1. So that's, again, so confirm the parallels there. And Lucy actually goes into the mine to hopefully find something magical down there, and I'm curious to see if there's anything magical there. Rogers questions this guy who's, I guess, one of Victoria's lovers, I would assume, and Lucy, I think Victoria's henchman or whatever is tried to bribe Rogers into going away. Lucy asked Henry about the cemetery because, as we saw when Henry went to the cemetery to see his family that died, there was no cemetery there. So look at my notes here. Lucy and Henry go searching in the mine, and Lucy actually does find something magical. Well, not magical, but a magical artifact. It's Cinderella's glass slipper, so we know that there's magic down there. Cinderella wanders off in the Enchanted Forest, and we find out that this coffin that Tiana showed her, it kind of scared Cinderella, and we didn't know exactly what it was. I mean, I didn't know it was a coffin at first, but she goes to Tremaine, and we think that it's Cinderella's father, but it turns out that it's actually Cinderella's stepsister, Anastasia. And I was wondering what happened to Anastasia, because we saw Drusilla these past 3 episodes, but no Anastasia. And apparently, well, Anastasia died when she was 14 years old, and Tremaine blames Cinderella and her father for whatever happened to her. We don't know how Anastasia died. we only know that she died and Tremaine blames Cinderella somehow. But Tremaine wants to bring Anastasia back to life, and as we saw, you can't bring anybody back from the dead, but she can with the heart of the truest believer. So Tremaine wants Jacinda to take Henry's heart because he does have the heart of the truest believer. But back in season 3, Regina put that spell on Henry's heart so nobody could take his heart. So I'm wondering how Tremaine's going to do that. And she did some kind of magic, I guess, on Jacinda's hand to, I guess, pull Henry's heart out of his chest. And um, just in Hyperion Heights, Victoria offers Jacinda a deal that if she burns the petitions that everyone signed, that she'll offer Jacinda a condo for her and Lucy to stay up because Victoria doesn't want to fight. She doesn't want to be known as the bad guy anymore, so she wants to offer this to Cinderella. And Cinderella just gave up. Jacinda just gave up that quick. She just burnt the petition and it was right in front of Lucy. So, of course, Lucy runs away upset, and Lucy, it then backfires because Lucy doesn't want to live with Jacinda then. And Weaver also wonders why Rogers is lying about what's going on, why he's meeting one of Victoria's henchmen and saying that now basically Weaver has to deal with him now. We see that Jacinda struggling to take Henry's heart, and Regina actually talks Jacinda out of that. Oh, I keep getting Jacinda and Cinderella. Oh, Regina convinces Cinderella not to take his heart, and Regina says that that kind of sacrifice is okay. And what Cinderella was going to do was she was going to take the heart of this stranger who also is a true believer instead of Henry's heart. And Regina says that that sacrifice isn't worthy. That she's learned a lot over the years, and she's trying to give her some wisdom here. She's trying to convince Cinderella to do the right thing, and she actually does. She doesn't take his heart, and they actually move forward in their resistance plan. Jacinda talks to Ronnie about wanting Lucy back, and Ronnie asks Jacinda what she's willing to do, and Ronnie says that the Victoria of the Worlds will take everything if you let them, and I think she was implying to the fact that Jacinda burned all the petitions, so she says that basically if you give in to Victoria, she'll take everything from you if you just let her. And Jacinda then does the right thing and has everybody re-sign the petitions again, which makes Lucy very happy. Regina then wonders why Cinderella's leaving, presumably from the incident that happened the night before. And she talks about how Tremaine blames her father and herself for Anastasia's death, and Regina tells Cinderella to forgive herself, not about what happened the night before with trying to take Henry's heart, but for her involvement or whatever happened to her stepsister. And Regina says that whatever choice Cinderella makes, let it be her wish and not somebody else's. Basically telling Cinderella to live her life for herself and don't let anybody stop her or tell her what she can and can't do. Lucy, I think, did something really sweet. She was originally going to give the glass slipper to her mom to get her to believe again, but Lucy says that her mom's already being the hero that she was destined to be, so Lucy gives it to Henry because the prince in the story gets the glass slipper, and the glass slipper leads the prince to the princess. So Henry actually searches for the cemetery, and oddly enough, he actually does find 2 graves. I couldn't see the one name, but the one name said Abigail Mills' beloved daughter, so that's a big twist. Is that just there so Henry will stop believing? Or there was a theory going on that Lucy isn't actually Henry's daughter, that that's actually Hook and Emma's daughter. So maybe Henry's family actually did die. I'm very curious as to why they're there in the first place. We see that Victoria has people dig up something, and she goes and sees this older woman. I mean, this could have been in the first 2 minutes I missed, but she sees this older woman, and we find out that Victoria has dug up Anastasia, and Lucy need Lucy and Henry's hearts are both protected as truth believers, so Lucy needs to surrender her belief willingly. So they want to make, I guess, Lucy lost if she doesn't believe in anything anymore. And the older lady said that Victoria can have everything, but in the end they'll have to deal with her. So I'm very curious as to who this older lady is and what kind of hold she has in Victoria. So next week's episode, it is Halloween, and it appears like it's going to be a Rumple-centric episode because it looks like Belle's returning, and I'm excited. I've always liked Belle myself, so it should be an interesting episode. I hope you guys enjoyed Once Upon a Time tonight. If you want to catch Once Upon a Time, it is on Fridays, 8 p.m. on ABC. Until next time, stay regal.